Hello again. Doing another one of these. There's been an absence in videos, and the reality is it's because there's not really a whole lot to say. That's what this video is going to be on. People overcomplicate things, and it's one of those things I'm notorious for saying, stop overthinking it, stop overcomplicating it. And there's always backlash whenever I say that. There's always a defense, there's always a reason. Everyone wants to be optimized, everyone wants to have the best results, everyone wants to do everything 100%. The reality is, it's simple. What we're doing here, it's lifting, and that's what you do. You lift, and it's only as complicated as you really want to make it. How do you get stronger? You lift heavier things. How do you get bigger? You lift things. It's it. You eat well, you sleep well, you make progress. Everyone wants to think it's some formula that you have to crack some sort of code, that it's this percentage of this many reps of this many sets of this movement, and that's going to get this much growth, and you can chart it, and it's binary, and it's mathematical, and you can predict, and it's not. You put in the effort, you get the results, you get the outcome. That's all it is. We all want to think that there's got to be some reason I'm not making the ideal gains, that I don't have the right supplement, I'm not taking the right food, I'm not. But be realistic with yourself. You know what it is. Anyone that thinks that diet is complicated is overthinking it. Really? You want to make it complicated? That's your prerogative. The reality is, if you eat meat and you eat vegetables, you're probably doing better than 98% of the population. Because most people are eating crap. Most people are eating things that come out of boxes. Most people are eating things that they get from fast food restaurants. Most people just aren't cooking. They're not putting in the bare minimum amount of effort to succeed. And that's what it boils down to. We think it's complexity when really that's just masking effort. Because we don't want to believe that it's hard work that gets us there. We want to believe that it's something scientific, it's something complex, it's something that's beyond our reach. Because when it's hard work, the onus is on us to succeed. It's not on the rest of the world. It's our fault we're not succeeding when it's hard work. Whereas when it's complicated, when it's mathematical or scientific or beyond our reach, then we couldn't be held accountable for our actions. It's someone else's fault. It's someone else's fault that I'm not educated enough. It's bullshit. We know what's happening here, folks. We know that if we put in the effort, we get the results. Will they be optimal, quote unquote? No, I suppose not. I suppose that they won't be as absolutely perfect, as finely tuned as possible. But the reality is, who honestly is making optimal progress right now? Who? Even athletes with the best genetic potential and amazing coaches still fuck up. They still make mistakes. And honestly, usually when you have those kind of assets, the hard work was going to fall off on your part. You're going to hold yourself less accountable because you have someone else whose job it is to hold you accountable. When it's all up to you, you succeed or fail by your effort alone. If you're putting in the effort, if you're busting your ass in the gym, if you're busting your ass in the kitchen, you're going to get marked results. You're going to be above the average people. You're going to stand out in a crowd because you're doing things average people are not doing. It's that simple. I'm talking about simplicity, I'm talking about complexity. Honestly, I don't even read about programming anymore. I love reading about lifting, but anytime I crack open an article about, top 6 best ways to train shoulders or some nonsense like that, I just can't get past the first paragraph because it's not telling me something I don't know. How do you build good shoulders? You train them. You press overhead, you do some lateral raises, you do some rear delt work, boom, you've got good shoulders. It's not that difficult. Programming, it's becoming simpler and simpler the more I look at it. I'm on an incredibly modified version of Jim Wendler's 531. But what I've learned about 531, what it's done for me is open my eyes to the fact that a program can be flexible. It doesn't have to be stagnant, it doesn't have to be strict, it doesn't have to be binary. It can just be a series of concepts that you utilize to make progress. I'm using range of motion progression for my squat and my deadlift. My bench and press, I'm using the 5-3-1 percentages. My assistance work is very flexible. It's what I need. And ultimately, the program comes down to train one lift, very heavy, and then do the assistance work to build up that lift. It's very simple. You saw this in Westside too, with the maximal effort work, and then the rest of it was assistance work. Or it's dynamic effort work, the rest is assistance work. It's really not that complicated. Do something to get strong, and then do something to get big. And then you look at the assistance work, it's the same thing. People want to stress about assistance work. Look at boring but big, or big but boring, or whatever combination the bees fall in. I don't have the source material in front of me. It's simple. Do that lift you just did, but do it for lighter weight and for more volume, and you'll get even better at the lift. You can structure pretty much any routine this way. Do the lift you want to get good at first, and then do the stuff that makes that lift better. That's programming. That's all it is. It doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to run Smolov. Why is everyone so fixated with this kind of stuff? Why does it have to be this set routine, these set percentages? Who cares? You don't function like that as a human. You have good days, you have bad days. Why not learn to adapt and adjust? Why not do the things that will facilitate your growth at your rate as best for you? Why not eat the things that work for you? Why care if someone's on paleo, if someone is on the Atkins diet, if someone eats nothing but all carbs? If it works, use it. And if it doesn't, throw it away. So many things that I were told do not work for someone work perfect for me. I do nothing but touch and go deadlifts. Go on the internet and people are going to tell you I'm getting cancer from this shit. It's not the truth. They work. They build a good deadlift, at least for me. So why would I listen to anyone else who says that they're worthless when I know that they're not? Who cares what other people think? Try things that everyone else throws away because they might work for you. The internet is a resource. It is useful in limited capacity. But the reality is most people get way too inundated with the flavor of the month and what's popular on forums and what's being spread by one person, and they don't think for themselves. They just go into groupthink. It's much easier when you're not accountable and just up to the rest of the world to educate you. But the reality is you have to take ownership of yourself. You have to be what you want you to be. You cannot be what the rest of the world wants you to be. It's not going to work, at least not for you. You will not meet your goals if you're doing what they want. Experiment. Find out what does and does not work for you. Don't stay shackled down to one thing if it's just not fucking working. And it's not magic. It's not like something's not going to work for years and years and years, and then all of a sudden it works for you. It's going to be blatantly obvious. And if you want better development, focus on something in particular. Back work is one of those things that I used to, again, like the people I'm preaching against, I used to just follow someone's routine. It said do 4 sets of back work, so I would do only 4 sets because that's what the routine said. But really, I'm doing more and more these days. The past 2 days, I've done, what did I figure, 320 something variations of chin-ups in 2 days. My back's fine. It's not overtrained. I could probably hit another 300 in the next 2 days if I wanted to. And in fact, I'll be working my back again in 2 days, and then I'll work it again 2 days later because it works. My back keeps growing like a weed. I don't know what it is. I don't take the time to figure it out biologically, but it works. As long as I keep training and keep eating, I will keep growing. It's simple. If something's not working, change it and fix it. But it's up to you to make that change. And if you find me on a forum somewhere and ask me if you should change, I'm going to tell you no. Because the reality is, if you have to ask, you're not ready. Just take the risk. What do you have to lose? If something's not working, what's wrong with changing it? What are you going to lose when you're already on a path of failure? If you're already not succeeding, what could possibly go wrong? Really? Maybe an injury. And even then, honestly, injuries have not been that terrible for me. Injuries have been my place to learn and grow. Because when something is hurt and you can't do what you used to do, you start getting creative or you die. And there are a lot of people that choose the latter path. They get injured, they don't do anything. That's worthless. You're going to spend this time not learning, not progressing, not doing something. I have a chronic back and hamstring injury. The back injury I got 6-ish years ago. It'll twinge up about once a quarter. The hamstring injury I got last year. In both cases, I had to learn how to train around them. And that's what sponsored touch and go deadlifts, mat pulls for the back injury, ROM progression, chain suspended squats for the hamstring injury. Anytime I get injured, I have to get creative. I have to think, I have to work around it. And honestly, I tend to find things that work better in these situations in a non-injured state. I am never going back, I shouldn't say never, but in the foreseeable future, I am not going back to just pulling off the floor every week, once a week like I used to, because ROM progression touch and go deadlifts work so much better. Same thing with squats. As long as I can do chain suspended ROM progression squats, I will do them because they work. I've got no reason to change whatsoever. Something is working, which is another topic in and of itself, is people will abandon a working program, and I don't understand why. You're making progress. Why would you change it? They get in their head that they're not making optimal progress, which is this term that I've fought against in this video and in other forums. It's stupid. Progress is progress. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint. You just got to go for the long haul. Someone that is making consistent progress year to year to year is going to, in the end, have much better results than someone that makes short bursts of rapid progress and then plateaus because they can't figure out what they need to do next. It does you no good. Who cares how fast the gains are coming? I care how long they will stay. If I can progress like this from my 20s into my 40s, I'm going to be a monster. If I just hit this for 3 years and then that's it, who cares? It's not going to be worthwhile at all. There's no need to complicate things. If you're getting stronger and getting bigger, you're making progress, and there's no reason to change it. We know what we need to do to get better at what it is we want to do, and it's just hard work and personal ownership. It's not up to the world to educate us, and it doesn't matter what study came out saying what. If your diet is working for you, stick with it. It's a good diet. If your program is working for you, stick with it. It's a good program. If something's not working, change something and see what happens. If you still think that it's about volume manipulation instead of just effort, reinvestigate. See what's going on and see if it's the truth. And maybe you are that special case where your training needs to be complex and written by NASA and involve many such equations, but I'm willing to bet it's not.